Does anybody teaching us how to overcome fear? Is anybody teaching us how to improve your voice? How to work with yourself? Not really. We were okay to go to a doctor to fix our back pain, complain about our tooth pain, but would you ever go to a voice specialist? Say, can you listen to my voice? I want to become better. I want to have less filler words.
I've had vocal training.
Here you go.
Who says tech can't be human?
What's going on, Hacker Valley fam? Welcome back to the show. Have you ever had a friend that's speaking about one of their new friends and you're listening to them talk about positive trait after positive trait and how amazing this person is? Well, one of my friends was just speaking about someone really special. And whenever I hear people speak so positively about someone, I know I gotta meet them. And that's exactly how I got my guest for today's episode. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Evgeniy Kharam, founder of EK Cyber and Media Consulting, host of multiple podcasts, one being the Security Architecture Podcast, and author of his newest book, Architecting Success, The Art of Soft Skills and Technical Sales, Connect to Sell More. Evgeniy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I feel very special. I didn't know I'm so special until now, but thank you now. I'll know.
So special, so special. And, you know, when we originally met, you were doing a lot. You had events that you were hosting, you got media, and, you know, we got a lot in common. And I want to know more about these events. I want to know about why the company has media in it. I know that you have a cyber background. So let's start with the events that you've recently thrown.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So the first event, Ski and Snowboard Cybersecurity Conference, happened 2 years ago. And we just finished a summer event called Bikes and Hikes, or we call it Ski and Snowboard Summer Edition. What we realized when we were doing the first event is that not everybody likes snow. Not everybody likes cold. People like to be outside. So we decided to do a biking and hiking event in cybersecurity. But before that, let me go to the initial idea, how it's all started. I was probably 2.5 years ago, had no mood. I didn't know what to do with myself, just some of these days. But I decided I'm not going to go drinking. I'm not going to do something stupid. I'm going to go and learn something new. And I went to learn how to become a snowboard instructor. During the instructor training, I realized I'm getting a very good connection with the people that I'm learning with. Every time on a ski lift, I'm going with somebody new, and we're talking about life, we're talking about what they do, where's the ski, where's the snowboard in this case, and what else they're doing. And when I came back, I was like, why are we doing events at the golf club all the time? You got stuck with 3 people. What if you don't like them? Like, what do? You cannot change. So I came back, put a note on LinkedIn, put like a small blog, and ask, hey, if we do an event on a ski hill, would you join? You're like, yeah, it's a good idea. A couple of months passed, like 8 months passed. Winter was getting closer, it was October. A friend of mine, Tony, saw a picture on Facebook and told, hey, I know this hill. You've been there. Like, yeah, I just came back from there. He's like, I am a member of a private club. I'm like, okay, let's talk. So long story short, we were able to start a Ski and Snowboard Cybersecurity Conference. And the entire idea was, if we take people that like skiing and snowboarding and like cybersecurity, give them some beer, give them some food, leave them alone, let's see what's happened. And guess what? Everything happened, like, to the point when people going up to the hill, getting stuck on the top of the hill, doing architecture designs with a ski pole and talking about traffic flows. Like, this was just amazing. Like 20 people, and everybody come in and got stuck there talking about, I think it was Sassy, to explain about different things. And it's a vendor and a customer and some different other people just kind of discussing this idea. So it was very, very cool. It's a very low key. We don't have a lot of talks. We want people to network. We want people to talk. And if you think and reflect about that, when you're at a conference and you're standing in line and there's somebody standing near you, a gentleman, a lady, how do you start a conversation with them? Hi, I'm Evgeniy. Are you in cyber? Yeah, I'm in cyber. It's hard. But if I'm standing with you and I know by definition you're in skiing or snowboarding, okay, this is a nice pair of skis. What do you think about them? I want to buy something like that. What is your favorite mountain? Where did you travel? It's completely normal to ask this. Guess what's happening? It's completely natively transitioning to cybersecurity. So this is all about idea of soft skills. You want to connect first, and then you can do the business part. So we did the winter event, and we did the summer event. Quite happy about it. It's a very unique, very different.
A lot of people that I know in cyber now are starting to host events, which I think is amazing. And I sometimes have this limiting belief within myself. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, that you have to have a lot of experience in the space to host such an event, especially at a ski and snowboarding resort. What was your experience before starting this event? And do you think that that was needed in order to have the same level of impact?
I organize, birthday parties, friend and family events. This is I did in my life. I never organized something like that. When you need to order a swag, we need to understand, do you need a projector? Do you need a DJ? What kind of food? How much food do you actually order? How do you think about potentially halal, kosher, vegetarian, and other people that have any different dietary restrictions as well? But what I did have is a network. And back to soft skills and back to vulnerability. I will call my marketing friends and say, hey, Julie, hey, Anne, hey, John, we're doing this event. What do you think? Should I do that? Should I don't do that? What if I charge people? What if I don't charge people? What if people don't show up? So basically open up my vulnerability and ask for guidance. And some people told me, hey, Evgeniy, you know what? I know you guys doing this. We'll come and happy and support you. Now, I spent 16 years working for one of the biggest VARs and MSSPs in North America. And I built a big network of vendors because I used to sell them and working with them. And I didn't really know how to use this network until I graduated and I started my own consulting business. So I built a reputation of somebody that knows what he's doing and somebody that's delivering. So some vendors trusted me, like Evgeniy. We know you're a hard worker. We know your partner, Tony, and the team. We'll trust you. We'll go with you. The other part, what we did, and it was a decision from the beginning, is what if whatever the money we make, we're going to donate? So we basically donated around $20,000 to a shelter in the location where we did the event in the first year. And the idea was, I don't want anybody to come and say, oh, the event was bad or the event was good. You're just doing this for the money. No, we want to build a community. We want to do something new that wasn't done. So what if we make the money and we just put all the money somewhere in good? And later on, when we started, okay, let's actually make some money because it's quite a lot of time. It's a lot of time. If somebody wants to start an event and think it's not going to be a lot of time, you're misleading yourself. There are so many different tiny tasks that you can forget, to the point that, okay, I need a projector. What is the length of the HDMI cable that I need? Do I need to cover HDMI cable to make sure nobody's stripping? Do I need to potentially put it somewhere? What do I do with the microphones? How many microphones do I need? Who will be presenting? And there's a lot of small details. And you can even say, oh, I could just have someone else doing this. Yes, in one point, when you trust what they're doing. But first, you need to understand and visualize what needs to be happening. What if the sun is going from a different direction? You're going to be blacking out the screen, for example. So this, what helped us a lot, is guidance and asking people for help to understand. And I do believe that because we publicly told everyone we're going to donate the money, it helped some C-level people to join us as well.
I need to jump in for a second and share some details about a special group that we've created for you, our listeners. We understand the importance of creativity in cybersecurity, and Hacker Valley has created a special Cyber Creators Mastermind. Each month, we meet and discuss how to break down technical concepts through stories, the intricacies and opportunities of using audio and video to highlight what's important in cybersecurity, and we share how you can use content to highlight the hard work that you put into your craft. You can check out the mastermind by visiting hackervalley.com/mastermind. We'd love to help unlock your creative potential and would love to see you there. Through all this, you have the event part of the, things that you're doing, but then you just wrote a book. So I would imagine that maybe having that community helped you write that book. That gave you some ideas, but you probably leaned on a lot of the experience that you had already. What was the inspiration behind writing it?
Couple of things. I spent a lot of time in the technical pre-sales work. And what I realized very quickly is, first of all, what the sales engineering used to do 15 years ago in cyber and what they're doing right now changed. It became much more complex. The sales engineers need to do more selling because it's very, very complex. In the same time, the sales people role also change because the selling process become more complex. There's MSAs, there's NDAs, a lot of legal stuff. So I saw this transition and I wanted to write about that. Second, it was kind of driving me crazy when you join a call and the sales person will tell you, let me show you my presentation because I spent so much time working on this. And the sales engineer like, look at my demo. You'll see my demo. It's just mind-blowing. Why? Because I spent time. Now, I learn differently. You learn differently. And my mind is, did you ask the customer what they want? Did you ask how they want to learn? We are learning in visual, we're learning in audio. If anybody learn about NLP, there's different ways for us to learn. And my view was always, Mr. Customer, I'm here for you. Is there a better way to present this information to you versus what you're doing? I can do presentation, I can do architecture, design, I can show you a demo. So this was like the second motivation to actually explain to people, let's do stuff differently. Third one, it was actually COVID, because we lost this physical ability to connect with people in the physical space. And when we're in the physical space, we can see what people are doing. Like you right now only see part of Evgeniy. So if Evgeniy going on the side all the time, you're like, is Evgeniy eating spaghetti or Evgeniy writing notes? But Evgeniy writing notes, but in a physical meeting, you will actually be able to see it.
Yeah.
You may have multiple screens. So if I'm looking on the screen on the left, are you talking to half of my face or are you talking to Evgeniy? All this stuff are in small nuances that I learned when I started my media production, when I started my podcast, when I started to understand how lights are working, how teleprompter are working. I want to have this eye-to-eye contact with you. I can put a paper on a teleprompter and able to read it, and you will feel like I'm talking to you. And I'll pretend I actually memorize everything, but I don't, okay? Because we have these digital meetings, it means the customer on the other end is not fully focused as well. They have several screens. They may talking to you and checking their screen for email or LinkedIn. So you have a very limited time to connect to people before they're like, yeah, it's an amazing product. No, very, very good demo. Really, really good.
I believe that how you look and how you present yourself is infinitely important. And I think that with what you're alluding to kind of shows that, because we do have an appetite for virtual sessions. It's way easier than leaving our house, sitting in traffic, going home, sitting in traffic on the way back. I also use a teleprompter. I think it's a game changer. I'm looking at you head on, and it feels like we're having a face-to-face conversation, or at least the closest thing that it could be. So naturally, when you are speaking to someone, you want to build that rapport, especially if you want their approval or you want them to look at your demo. So I love those techniques that you've implemented. What do you think is the one thing that someone should focus on first? Because there's a lot. You could redo your entire space, but if you could just focus on one thing that's going to help elevate someone, what would that be?
I think it's the hooks. It's the regular hooks and the reverse hooks, and I'll explain what it is. You should be able to understand one on the other person background, what is they wear, what is they do, or even if you did a research to understand in the conference and being or where they did, to be able to use these hooks to connect to people better. The easiest hook ever, especially for people that are immigrants, is the language. I can go on LinkedIn. It will take me 30 seconds to understand which language you're speaking. And if by any chance you speak the same language, you just say hello in a different language. Like, oh my God, I didn't know you speak French, Hebrew, Spanish, whatever it is. It's become quite fun. But there's other different things. You can mention about sailing. You can talk about biking. You can talk about conferences. There's a lot of hooks. So this is one part, but the second part is the reverse hook. Like you have picture on your background. You have trophies on your background. It's a reverse hook. I'm talking to you and like, what is this trophy? What is this picture all about? And now for you, it's an opportunity to talk about it. I have a green screen behind me, not right now, but in general, people like, hey, what's up? It's a green screen. Now it's an opportunity for me to explain about media work. Or I may have a t-shirt that indicates something. Baseball hats are subjective, business, and it's depend on what you do and how you do this. So there's the beginning. But it's also important, you should need to try these hooks, not always in the business calls. So try these hooks somewhere else, understand how it's working. And it's bring us to a very interesting topic of vulnerability. Because you know what, if I made a joke and nobody is joking, it's kind of lame. But I now need to be vulnerable. I now need to trust myself that I potentially will try a hook to connect with you. And you're like, I don't care. No. It's not my office.
That's the beginning of every sales call. It always feels like that because they know they're about to be sold to in a lot of cases.
Yes. So you need to become vulnerable. You need to be okay. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it goes to many different things. This could go to potentially asking for the PO, asking if you're going to buy, understand the sales cycle, ask the customer to guide you. Mr. Customers, I would like to explain to you how we usually do whatever we do. Would you able to explain what is the process in your company? What is important for you to know to make sure we're helping you and going with you? If it is illegal, to make sure our data residency in correct location and many different things.
I love that. It makes me think of a term that I've heard about business acquisition, that businesses are never sold, they're bought. And I think that with what you're describing, with having a hook, building a connection, being a clear communicator, is when you're giving someone the ability to buy your product rather than trying to sell them on something.
Yes. And there's many studies that done about people want to buy and you don't want to get sold, is what you're saying right now. So let the customers understand. And also, honestly, now we have a very educated customers. We have a very educated community. And for the last several years, you can go to ChatGPT, put my name, your name, the company name, and like, hey, tell me what about this company, what they do. So I can get an idea. In the past, there was no information, there was less information. It was harder to find. And it's applicable not just to sales, if you think about that. There's stuff in the book that are completely legit for people in a community. You want to present your idea to your manager. You're selling your idea. How would you do this? What type of questions you're going to ask? What kind of topics you're going to bring? How do you make sure he or she are listening to you right now? Would you use open type questions if you need to ask a question? How are you going to work with the team? You have a big team meeting and you need to communicate. There are so many different things that part of it. And here's a couple of interesting things that I think are also important. Let's say you're a very mature human being. You're very confident in what you do.
Yep.
But usually we're not confident in everything. So you may be confident in one part, and if I want you to explain to me something, you will explain to me. If you want you to explain to 5 people, you will do it. And then I tell you, hey, tomorrow morning, you're going to do a webinar and you're going to explain this to the entire company. Now, suddenly, you're not so confident. Does anybody teaching us how to overcome fear? Is anybody teaching us how to improve your voice? How to work with yourself? Not really. We were okay to go to a doctor to fix our back pain, complain about our tooth pain, But would you ever go to a voice specialist? Say, hey, can you listen to my voice? I want to become better. I want to have less filler words. I want to present without, hello, this is my cup. We did this AI thingy in the cup. And today, people talk like that. They're not bad people. I spoke like that. I don't know if you ever had filler words. You sound very clear.
I've had vocal training.
Here you go. I had vocal training as well. My voice is very low or very high. I was missing the entire middle section. And we did crazy, stupid exercise to help to become better. I learned how to slow down. I learned how to not saying, and just be quiet for a second. So in the end of the day, we can be trained in this way as well, and you become a better communicator. It's much nicer to listen to you. You can put passion in your ideas. But when you're so afraid to present to people about your idea, and doesn't matter if it's a sales, if you're selling right now a product, or you're just presenting an idea inside the company, guess what? You only have number of focus points where what you can do with your mind. And it's mean that if you're afraid about how you present, how you sound, and many other things, that you forget how to become human. You forget how to become passionate. You more thinking about when this end, when can I go home to have a beer or do a workout. And you forget that you're here for the other people. They want to know your information. They want to understand what you're talking about. We're not Hollywood actors. We're not perfect. And it's okay if you make a mistake. People are going to relate to you more versus a Hollywood actor, because they know one day you can be on stage, you can be on the recording, and you can speak in the same way as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot that came to my mind, and I want to bring up some elements of play, because I think that there's definitely an element of vulnerability through play that you have to get used to when it comes to vocal coaching and training. But let's start with how the current state of technical sales. Are we better at technical sales today, or are we worse at technical sales today?
What we use, say in cyber, it depends,
Most famous term.
I think we're overall better, because in the past, the sales engineers, without disrespect to anyone, built almost like a demo monkey. The expectation from them, unfortunately, was come, do a demo, leave. Don't try to do the snoozing. Let the salespeople do it. This is part completely changed. Majority of the sales engineers understand that it's their part to connect. They need to understand the pain points. They're doing discovery as well. They're having the communication. They're not just doing a demo from A to Z. They become more dynamic. They will adapt the demo to what the customer wants. This changing. Again, not with everyone, but it's definitely changing.
Yeah.
And because the sales process become more complex, we have to adapt as well. We didn't talk about sales cycle 15 years ago. Like probably we did, but not as much as we're talking about this right now. Because right now we understand it's not, ooh, I like this product, can I have it tomorrow? It's like, ooh, I like this product. Okay, 6 months later, I may have it.
And there's a lot more products that are similar. So like I think with today, especially in cyber, there's 10 different companies that do a very small niche. Like if you look back on things like EDR, even there wasn't that many endpoint players. And then you look at something like SaaS inventory today, there's tons of people that do it. And it's just for SaaS apps. There's so many other problems that you have to solve in cyber.
BSPM, SASE, and all the many different breach attack simulation, many different vendors. So, but you know what's also interesting? I was thinking about it when you were saying, in the past, we had different problems. So right now, I want this product. The integration is actually easier. I don't need to build an SQL server. Like you mentioned EDR. Back in the days, if I want to buy Symantec or McAfee or Trend, I'll have to stand up SQL servers, build controllers, have a distribution environment, have like 40 different things. So it's mean I'm not waiting for legal. I'm waiting for the Intel team, for this team, for that team. Now it's actually, in most cases, an API connection, SaaS connectivity. You basically log into your AWS. But the legal part takes longer time. The approval, third-party management. I need to understand how secure you are. What do you do? Do you have SOC 2 compliance? How do you do whatever you do? So we have different problems right now.
One thing that I've heard from many of my cyber sales friends that I didn't know how true it was until I started selling, and I sell sponsorships through our podcast and also creative packages for content, and I've also sold a few keynotes as well. And what I saw related back to what some of my cyber sales friends said, that you are a trusted advisor as a salesperson. You are someone that is supposed to advise in good faith. And I thought that sales is just advising people to buy your product. But in a lot of cases, like what you're describing, is the best technical salespeople are going to help you navigate the third-party risk management process. They're going to help you navigate whether or not their company has SOC 2 compliance or not. Like they'll help you navigate all of the gotchas so you can make an informed decision, preferably with them, but even on your own as well.
There's a chapter about POC in a book. And people are like, why do you have a chapter about POC in a book? Because it's soft skills. And the reason why, it's more about touch points and the guidance. We want to guide the customer and want to understand, again, this chapter about POC will probably going to be different for every company. It cannot be just one the same. But there are some nuances there that going to soft skills about what's important. If you don't have touch points, if you don't explain the customers, hey, Mr. Customer, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and then we'll explain to you about third-party compliance, or what are your third-party compliance requirements. While you're doing the POC, we prepare all the documentation you need. This is why it's there, for example, because if you think about this, POC is not a soft skills, but what's happening during the POC, the communication during the POC, it is soft skills. And we do want to have important parts about we did everything well, but we didn't communicate about success criteria. So if you didn't communicate success criteria, it's going to fail. And somebody asked me like, hey, why do you write a book about sales? Like, I didn't write a book about sales. Like, what do you mean? Like, I write a book about connection to people. There's gazillions other books about sales that probably touch on soft skills. But my book is focusing on the idea of how you can connect better to do better, and then you can focus. There's probably some shared and common chapters between them. But this was my vision and what I think is important. Sales books don't talk about fear. Sales books don't talk about burnout. They're not always talking about how to ask questions, how to work with the team between sales engineer and salesperson. There's amazing books about demo for sales engineering. Really good authors, people that have been teaching this for 20 years. Again, so there's some similarity. So I'm kind of in between.
What was your favorite part of the book?
Favorite chapter probably going to be the voice.
The
how
voice.
to analyze and improve your voice. I don't know, for me, it was, first of all, unique from what I see. Second, I think by analyzing and changing your voice, you can achieve a lot.
Like what? What comes to mind there?
So the idea of removing filler words, the idea of analyzing your voice and actually how to train your voice, understand how to slow down, understand how to make impact. What do we do as kids? We like to hear stories. Who tells stories? Our parents, our grandparents. What do? They use their voice. Do we like boring stories? No, but a boring story may be fun if we now use intonation. If we are playing the character, if we are in the character, now it's become much more interesting. So voice is, I think, very important, especially think about that. Before COVID, we used to travel to customer to customer to customer. In reality, we didn't speak for 8 hours or 10 hours. We had time to decompress. Now we can have back-to-back meetings, and you may be speaking for literally 10 hours. Unfortunately, I'm doing it as well. So if you don't train yourself like muscles, you're going to have a hard time by the end of the day. And it's also probably bring you to the idea of burnout and how to be present.
Oof.
It's a chapter that wasn't in the book. In the beginning, there was no burnout. But then I realized If I'm so amazing and I know how to ask questions and I'm very vocal and I know how to communicate and then find the right hooks, but I'm not there because I have a headache, because I'm not present, because I'm pissed on my call was before,
Mhm.
everything else is not important.
All falls apart. If anyone that's listening to this or watching the video as well, if you haven't done so already, you got to make sure you drop into the show notes or description wherever you're watching and check out the book, Architecting Success, The Art of Soft Skills and Technical Sales. Evgeniy, I have a very important question for you. If someone is just now hearing about you through this podcast, what's the best place for them to start learning more? Is it going to the podcast? Is it checking out the book? Where would you recommend them starting to just follow your work?
So, first of all, connect on LinkedIn. There's not too many Evgenys, especially Kharam. There's probably another one, and he spells his first name differently. So EVGENIYKHARAM, same as you see on the screen. 2 is go to softskillstech.ca.com. This is about the book. We are adding more information on the website. There's actually, in the end of the book, something called SSDP, Software Skills Development Plan, to help you to improve your soft skills. And I'm right now working on adaptive plan. Basically, you do a quiz and it gives you a plan for you to help you with soft skills. Take me a bit of time to do it, but it will be there. And pretty much LinkedIn and the website, and there's podcasts and many other things, but LinkedIn is the easiest way to connect with me, I guess.
There you have it. Connect with Evgeniy on LinkedIn. Evgeniy, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of Hacker Valley for you taking some time out of your busy day to jump on the mics with us and speak to me and our audience. And with that, we will see everyone next time.